Welcome, everyone, to the Awful Takes podcast, episode 50.
Woo!
We're here.
We made it.
Episode
finally.
50. Thank you guys for joining us. The format of this show is we do movie news in our episodic reviews, and then we cut over into the reviews. We have time stamps in the description and everything, so just feel free to jump to the review if that's what you're here for. But this is the show where we provide our awful takes for all of you guys on movies and music and things like that. So we hope you stick around for more. We hope you like listening to us. But thank you very much for joining us. My name is Nabahi.
Hello, I'm Wallied from Sir Gator Productions.
And yeah, we're here, episode 50. We are talking about a great movie today, at least in my opinion. Not too sure how much we can add to the conversation about this movie, but we'll see what we can bring up. Okay. I wanted to touch on something before we get started, though. There was something that happened this week that was unfortunate, to say the least. Part of the when I was growing up was seeing iconic movie posters and things like that. And this week, the unfortunate passing of Drew Struzan passed away. And he was a great artist behind so many different movie posters that I love, so many different artworks and things, even some of my favorite album artworks, like he's had hands in creating. And it's kind of weird to talk about now because I feel like movie posters, the art form is pretty much gone. I feel like nowadays movie posters are just very lazy, and I don't know if it's like contractual obligations with actors or things, but usually you just see like the faces put on a poster in this
Dune one.
Yeah, in this awful Photoshop or what, I don't know, whatever it is.
I remember you mentioned the Spider-Man Far From Home one once.
The Spider-Man Far From Home one is one of the worst posters I've ever seen. It has like Spider-Man, Jake Gyllenhaal, and then Samuel Jackson, and this awful, like, oh man, I don't even know what it is. It's like this awful Spider-Man logo behind there. It looks terrible.
It was so funny.
But yeah, we had the passing of Drew Struzan, who really thought so methodically with his posters. Like, obviously one of my favorite ones, you guys probably know it, is The Thing. It's just like this image of this person standing there with this light coming from the face, and you can't see anything, and it draws a lot of interest, you know.
There's so much mystery and intrigue behind that poster that even if I had never seen it before, it would honestly make me interested to just watch the film.
And exactly. I couldn't imagine going around like the movie theater in the 80s and seeing that and just being like, what is that? You know, you'd want to see more. Obviously, the big ones are the Star Wars ones for me. Like, yeah,
those are always great. Those posters look incredible. Like, even now, like compared to like some of the newer Star Wars posters, like they still hold up even like almost 50 years later.
There was just something for me that was so iconic about having those VHS tapes and seeing the characters on screen, seeing, you know, he did such a great job of having different elements of the film all focused in like one image, you know? Mm-hmm. So he would have like the characters' faces and everything, but usually in like the small off corner or something, you would see like moments from the movie, you know?
Yeah.
Another great one is obviously Back to the Future.
Oh,
man,
yeah,
that poster
fantastic.
is just great. I just love the lighting of it. I love the tire tracks where the flames are, and obviously the DeLorean and everything looks great. There's just so many posters that he was a part of, like even just looking now, like Harry Potter, Big Trouble in Little China. That's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
There's just so many different things that this guy, I don't know, he just had a way of conveying the movie in a kind of a poster frame, you know?
Yeah.
And it really is something that you just want to purchase and put up on your wall and just be like, look at that. Look at how amazing that is.
Yeah, right.
And it's just so iconic. And it really is unfortunate, especially now when we're in the days of movie posters not really being a thing anymore, you know?
Yeah. Which is really
granted, there's a
unfortunate.
handful of posters that come out that I really like. But
yeah, Weapons poster was definitely one for sure.
Didn't really care for the movie, but man, that It Comes at Night poster was amazing. It just has like this dog in the frame and this darkness in the back. It looks amazing. The unfortunate passing of him, and even just thinking moving forward with like AI and stuff, what could happen? You know, like it's just so unfortunate to see that we've moved away from that art form, you know, like, and
it surprises me so much that we've moved away from that art form. Cause I feel like even now with the technology and everything, you would think like the posters would get better with that technology. And I don't know, I guess like album covers, I feel like posters for me are a very underappreciated form in film.
Yeah.
I feel like the poster can really encapsulate like the overall tone and experience of what you're about to get, you know, that I feel like sometimes a trailer can't really do.
Yeah. And there's just something about it, like even with album covers, and I know this guy worked on a few album covers that I really love. Seeing it and then like having a fellow fan see it, and it's almost like a mutual understanding, you know, of just like, oh wow, that's cool, you know.
Yeah, right.
And same thing with posters and things like that. But I mean, granted, now I guess we'll have to see where that kind of form goes. Granted, there are some posters that I really like, but I just feel like most of the time it's just that same character's face Photoshop thing, which I guess this guy really kind of had the standard and setting of putting like the faces on the posters and everything, but he did it in such a great way.
It felt purposeful though. It didn't just feel like, oh, we have to put the character's face or else people won't go see the movie.
Yeah. And it was something about the how well he drew everything, and it just looks amazing. So it's unfortunate to hear of his passing, but I definitely wanted to take a moment to talk about it just because, again, some of the artwork that he's been a part of, like, man, I can just picture those images in my head. Like anytime a movie comes out, anytime I talk about a certain movie, sometimes those images pop in my head first, or those posters, you know?
Yeah, I never realized how many posters like he was involved with and everything too.
Yeah.
So that also shows you just how much of an impact he's had on film.
Yeah, no, really. And it's unfortunate. But yeah, figured I'd want to mention that. All right. What was the next bit of movie news that you wanted to cover?
Yeah, so we got some interesting movie news recently. So Michael Mann has been working on a sequel to Heat. Heat is, for me, one of my favorite gangster cop drama action films that I've seen. There's a lot of incredible acting from Pacino and Robert De Niro and all that. So hearing there was going to be a sequel kind of like really shocked me. And so we had some news recently that Michael Mann is talking about using AI in Heat. And one of the things that he mentioned, I'll put up the quote over here. So he says, "I don't experiment with technology gratuitously. If I have a dramatic need or aesthetic need for it, then I go deep into what I need," he said. For example, aging and de-aging will be very important in the film. And then he says, "The characters of Heat are so alive to me that I know everything about outside the boundaries of the film. I know what De Niro's character looked like when he was basically state raised as an 11-year-old, wearing clothes that didn't match, being ostracized, which then made them aggressive and violent, which led to juvenile facilities. I know everything about these characters. I always wanted to do more with these people, but I couldn't figure out how to do it because one's dead at the end of Heat," he said. Well, spoilers if you guys haven't seen that film. So I can kind of see where he's coming from with this. However, I don't know if de-aging is like the best option for this, because I've seen this example before when Martin Scorsese used it for The Irishman. And in that film, he does use de-aging for Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci's characters in those films. And I'll be honest, it doesn't look like the best, especially when there's like a scene where like Robert De Niro's like kicking one of the guys and you can clearly kind of tell it's like very much like CG. I felt like instead of using AI, I feel like for me personally, the best option I feel like would be to just maybe cast like a younger actor to play that character rather than just try to de-age actors, you know, because then like that, you're giving introductions to a new and younger generation of actors, in my opinion. So how did you kind of take this?
I haven't seen an instance yet where the AI has really blown me away.
Same.
Granted, I'm not saying it can't happen. Who knows with how fast things are advancing. Maybe it could be very, very convincing. There are moments where it does look pretty good. I'll say that. Like obviously the one that comes to mind for me was Indiana Jones and the Great Circle when they had to de-age a young Harrison Ford. I felt like it was convincing in a lot of shots, but it wasn't 100% perfect.
Right.
And then they ran into the trouble with the voice and everything. So those are elements that I feel like it's not quite there, but I will say I wouldn't be opposed to it completely. I guess I'm in the boat of things can progress so far than what we know it, Our mindset right now is kind of limited to what we have around us, certain technologies are never fully adopted until someone does a really great job with it, So I will say I'm going to wait to really have like a finite answer on that until I've seen something that really just, man, wouldn't it be crazy to watch a movie and then after the movie you find out, oh, that was actually AI and you had no idea that it was used in the de-aging or whatever. Like that would just be kind of mind blowing. And I feel like that moment really could end up happening here in the next 5 to 10 years. So yeah, I do see what you're saying, like the adopting of young actors, just getting someone to fill that role. I do understand that. And I feel like, yes, that would be probably the best way to go about it for now. But I mean, sometimes there are just people so iconic to roles that how can that really be done,
That's true. But I guess for me, I feel like that would be also the job of the director to like help coach them through that and everything, So I feel like that's also not just the job of the actor, but I feel like it's also important for the director to maybe showcase that to one of the younger actors.
That's true, but I feel like how convincing can it be, and all of this does depend on the story in the movie. If you're trying to show someone de-aged all the way back to like a child or something, like, get a child actor, but if it's someone in like their teens or something when they're like almost pretty much how they're going to look until they're like an old person, then, getting that other actor or actress can probably be a little jarring. And it might not work to the best degree. I will say that's one of my main criticisms with The Substance. I felt like these two actresses didn't really feel like the same character. And I didn't really feel like these two were the same person, like at all. And granted, that might have been like the goal behind the director and everything. But when you have this older actress and this younger actress, I feel like there was just too much of a split there that I was like, I just don't really buy into the fact that this is the same person. And it kind of affected my overall enjoyment of the movie. If they could have de-aged said actress, maybe I might have had a different opinion, but obviously it would have to have been very convincing, Yeah. So I will say there are instances where it does work really well, hiring a younger actor or actress. There are instances where they just completely miss the mark, and it's just like it ends up being more jarring than it is convincing. But that's another thing too, in terms of story and writing is, do you need to portray that younger person? Is that something that really needs to happen? I guess that's something I would like directors and writers to focus on more rather than just being like, well, let's just do it because we can do it. It's like, really think,
let's hope there's a purpose to
have this in here?
Right.
But yeah, I guess that's what I'm in the boat in. Because, I mean, figure if we don't take the risks and if we don't try to go about things in a new way, we could just end up being very boxed in and putting limitations on ourselves, It's like, look at CGI now, how far it is. All it took was that one person to make that leap and jump off of that, cliff with full faith that they could pull this off.
Yeah.
Same thing with animation, like 3D animation. It took that one person to really be like, you know what, I think this can be done, and I'm gonna do it. And despite all the people saying, nope, it's never gonna work, it's not convincing,
Yeah.
And look at how far 3D animation is now,
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, it's one of the biggest mediums of animation.
and that's my thing, is
just,
like AI right now is very it's a very touchy subject. It's just something that I think we don't fully understand, so we're very much like abrasive to it.
Yeah. I think for me so far with AI, I see it as a good tool, but if you're just using it as like a crutch rather than like it's like a good thing, I see that as a big problem. I guess with this instance, with Heat 2, I definitely would just want to see a first look of this. And then I feel like kind of once I get that first look, I'll have a better idea of how I like really feel about it. But just kind of hearing this with this article just kind of really took me by surprise. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, but yeah, I mean, we'll definitely have to kind of wait and see how it looks first. I mean, hopefully it'll look nice and everything, and hopefully it won't look too distracting. But that was kind of my overall like first impression when I first heard the story.
Yeah. We'll definitely have to wait and see. I mean, I'm very interested to see where this shift in filmmaking and things is going to happen. Because while it's just small instances right now, I feel like we really haven't seen the big moment yet, with AI. I feel like it has been little things here or there, de-aging, things like that. But I feel like something's coming, relatively soon that is really going to kind of shake things up. All right. We are on to one of the last few episodes of our Halloween horror all-inclusive extravaganza.
Nice.
And over the past couple episodes, and with all the ones we did last year, I really wanted to do something that was iconic, because that's the one thing that we can attribute with a lot of horror movies, genre films in general, is you can kind of pinpoint the ones that really kind of changed things. Everything was the same up until this, and then we started mimicking that for a couple of years, and then this other iconic movie comes along, and then it changed things, and then we started mimicking that. A lot of genre picks and things like that really have those defining movies that inspires generations of filmmakers, and they want to pay homage, and they want to replicate those moments and things. I guess I'll say with my take on this movie is I was seeing it from a much older perspective. Okay. This is coming from a person who had seen so many different horror movies and had seen a lot of terrible ones. And, in that you become, you at least you think you are very knowledgeable in what you know and everything. And this was a movie I'd always heard about. I never really got around to seeing it. It was never really shown to me at all while I was growing up. And watching it, I was very shocked how I walked away really loving this movie. I really went into it. I remember seeing clips online of obviously the scenes with Reagan, cussing at the priests and stuff. And I was just like, that looks cheesy. I don't think I'll get into it. It looks kind of dated and stuff. I'd kind of throw these terms out and things. And then watching it, this was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. I was really shocked how much I really enjoyed it. And it's been on my mind ever since. And I would always tell people, like, a lot of people say The Exorcist is really good. And I was kind of watching it from this cynical point of view, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I walked away with just like, wow, that was actually really awesome. We're talking about The Exorcist today. It is one of the, I'll say it's one of the greatest horror movies ever made. The fact now that I'm watching this so many years later, and I have such an appreciation and enjoyment for this movie, is a testament to the writing, a testament to the directing and everything. So if you haven't seen it, we're going to be getting into spoilers and everything. So please check it out and come back and listen to this. you've definitely seen parodies. This movie is just that iconic. It's been, and there's so many references and nods to it in so many different pop culture shows and things like that. I was going to
say, it really has. Even the Scary Maze game, actually, too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Wallied, I recommended The Exorcist. What has been your relationship with this movie? Have you heard of it? Have you seen it before?
So I had actually never seen this film before until you recommended it. I had heard a lot about this before, like I mentioned, kind of through that Scary Maze game and everything. And then it wasn't until I got more into horror a couple years ago, and especially after, it was actually funny enough, it was actually the Babadook. Jennifer Kent, the director of that film, she mentioned this movie as like a very big influence for the Babadook, actually. So that got me really interested to like check this out and everything. This is kind of one I had seen clips from before, and I was like, yeah, that looks all right, nothing too crazy. So I didn't really have too many expectations or anything like that really going into it. I try to keep my expectations low for films like that just because it is such a high bar, obviously. Yeah. So I was really surprised with this film, and especially like in the beginning intro sequence. Obviously we can get into it, but I was really like, oh, okay, this is definitely more of like a drama film for sure, but there's obviously more horror in the second half. So I was really taken aback by this. I really surprisingly enjoyed this and loved this.
Yeah. In the opening, it really just kind of, that's one thing I'll say with this movie is the editing is very strange. I don't know. I can't pinpoint it, but definitely watching it for a second time, some scenes will linger and some scenes will, take kind of a majority of time or something. And then some scenes just cut super fast. I feel like it jumps between time periods and things like that, just kind of seamlessly. And
it's a very jarring pace for sure in the beginning. And then it wasn't until like the middle portion where I got a little bit more like used to that kind of jarring pace that it was doing.
And it's just something now that I'm like, wow, this is like, I can't believe how this movie is crafted together and edited. Like it's super unconventional, I will say. But yeah, in this opening, it's like this archival dig site, archaeological type thing, excursion. And
it's in Iraq.
Yeah, it's in Iraq.
I was like, I was so funny when I put it on. I was like, did I click on the right movie?
Yeah, it really is. You kind of start second guessing yourselves. I can't even imagine if you went to go watch it and you're like, oh, maybe you showed up late and you didn't see the title or something. You'd be like, oh crap, am I in the right movie? Or is this the screening of Lawrence of Arabia? No, I'm just kidding. That was so dumb. But yeah, it starts in this kind of somberness kind of tone and everything. It's just like this dig site and everything, and you're following this priest. And
I thought he was an archaeologist, honestly, at first. Yeah. I was like, oh, is he like searching for some kind of like spiritual stone or something?
Yeah. It's weird. Like while you're watching this, I'm expecting them to unearth some kind of relic or something that puts a curse on someone or something like that. Something a bit more standard and B-movie-ish. But that's not what's happening at all. And I'm just like, when it kind of jumps from that sequence, it really is just like, okay, but then obviously throughout the course of the movie, there's a lot of reason as to what's going on there. There's a lot of great imagery too. There's like this shot of the priest and everything standing opposed to like this statue of this demon.
And it's so crazy because I've seen that demon statue before because
really?
Gorillas uses it a lot in a lot of their artwork and everything.
Okay.
So I'm glad to know this is kind of like where they're pulling from. So that was kind of insane to see that in like the context of this film.
I didn't know that at all. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, you see like the shot of him standing opposed to this demon and everything. You don't know it at the time, but he's had run-ins with this demonic force before. And what it's setting up is that he kind of unbeknownst to him, but I guess he can kind of starts to clue into the omens and things that are appearing in front of him, is that he's gonna have to encounter this thing again.
Yeah. I kind of took it as at first in like the first 10 minutes is like he had some kind of possession before and it was just kind of like coming back to haunt him.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I at least kind of took that in like the first 10, 20 minutes with that character.
Yeah. And yeah, it really is just like it's such an interesting way to start a movie like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very surprising. It's not at all like kind of what I expected.
Yeah. And even now, like watching behind the scenes and stuff, like they didn't pull out any stops with this movie. Like they're actually filming in Iraq. They went to these locations and everything.
That's
and it's
insane.
Just like,
and to think it's like early 1970s also.
yeah. And this isn't like nowadays where it's some sound stage or
It's like
something
some green screen.
some green screen or trying to portray Arizona as Iraq or something.
Or New Mexico.
Yeah, New Mexico. There's so many times like that in movies where I'm just like, what are they doing?
Sure, guys, it is Iraq.
But,
whatever.
We'll take it for what it is. But one of the things I want to touch on with the character of Father Marin in general is he's portrayed by Max von Sydow. And I didn't know it at the time. This guy is like late 30s when he's filming this movie. They used makeup, prosthetics, and not to mention his acting to portray this old man, even with his voice and everything. And I was just like, what the heck? This guy's not like 70 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's like a younger guy. And it's kind of funny if you take scenes from this movie where you see close-ups of him and everything and compare it to him now. He's obviously older. It's kind of shocking how close they got. And I was just like, wow, that's actually really an amazing effect,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely makeup and special effects at its finest.
Yeah, I really...
Okay, wow. I did not know that.
I was really taken away by that. When you get into kind of who this movie is revolved around, it's kind of a group of people, but we're introduced to this family, this mother and this daughter, and it's just an interesting family dynamic. But in the short scenes that they have, because there's not many of them, but in the short scenes that they have before basically things go bad, they really convince me that this is like a mother-daughter dynamic, those short scenes where they're together and everything is really convincing. And I'm like, wow, this is actually really good acting and stuff like that. I really buy that these two are related. I buy that they're a family. I buy the fact that they care about each other, that they love each other, which is something that I think a lot of horror movies take for granted, that it's more just about quick setup and then jump into the situation, And granted, while this is quick, I still feel like the care and the attention was put into, you know what? No, we're just not going to set it up and then throw you into the stuff you came to see. We really want you to feel this dynamic. You know?
It's definitely more slower paced for sure, which really surprised me with that whole drama and everything. I love the introduction too of both of them. I love when they're just kind of like playing around with each other and everything. I love just like that scene where they're like in bed together and she's like, the bed is shaking, and you can tell like the mother just like really loves and cares for her that much, and she cares about her safety, and she's kind of a little worried too,
and I don't say this with a lot of movies, but definitely when it comes to this movie, there's just something about the way this is filmed, the atmosphere of everything. I don't know what it is. Like, I really can't explain it, but I just feel it so much with this movie. Like, there's like a fog, like there's just something there that I'm just like, wow, like the cinematography just really is like leaping out at me. And I feel like I'm in this time period. I feel like I'm existing here with these characters and everything. And there's just like a somberness to a lot of these characters, they're not super showy. They're not super in your face, they have a lot of subtleties to them that I really, really enjoy. And I really appreciate that a movie this early in horror, kind of took that time to do, but cinematography is just outstanding in this movie.
Yeah, I was surprised with the mother's introduction too, of like she's like an actress basically. It was kind of a little meta, and they're like at this like university and everything. It was like a nice little kind of foreshadowing thing to like what would come later when you especially get that introduction to like the priest and everything. Like the way they just like zoom in to him was like really surprising. I was like, huh, that's like a very interesting character introduction I've never seen done utilized all that much.
Yeah, the zoom ins in this movie are actually really amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, surprisingly, which I wasn't expecting either, but I really loved them every time they used them.
Yeah, I don't, like I normally say I'm not really a big fan of zoom ins and things, but the times they use it in this movie are just so perfect, one of my favorites is when one of the messengers runs up to the priest and hands him the note of basically that he has to go and do this thing, and it just slowly, like, guy runs out of frame, all the trees and everything, and it just slowly just starts to zoom in on him, like as he's reading it, and he just puts it in his pocket and he walks away. Like there's just something in that scene that I'm like, wow, that actually really conveys a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I love a lot of the sound design in this film too. It's like it could just be so simple, like just a cabinet opening or like a door closing, or just the stuff with like when they're like doing like the medical procedures. I don't know what it is, but like the sound design in this film is just so terrifying to me, and I definitely like jumped a couple of times throughout, just especially during those medical procedures. Like it's just like even just hearing those sounds is like just scary to me.
There's one thing that I appreciate with this movie, and it is those medical procedures of them trying to find a logical reason as to what's going on. That adds a lot of weight and a lot of realism to these characters and everything. I like the fact that they didn't just, so this is weird, let's call the priest up, like a lot of these exorcism movies do now.
Oh, is that usually what they do?
Yeah, pretty much. But I like in this movie, like they show all these medical procedures, and there's some unnerving horror effects in them too. Like there's this one where they put this needle in her neck and the blood.
Yeah,
like I was like, oh god,
gross. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And them getting pictures of her brain and everything. Like I was just like, man, this is like actually really scary.
Yeah, it is very disturbing. And I loved with that too. I loved how like far they took that. Like you go to different doctors, you go to different psychiatrists. I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like that's really insane to showcase like all of these doctors, none of them have the answer. None of them can come up with a logical explanation for what's going on.
No, I really do enjoy that. Like it really shows that they didn't waste, or they took advantage of the time that they were given. It's like, let's show these people reacting in a normal way, because if someone were to go through something like this or something, they probably would think maybe something medical is going wrong.
Yeah. And I appreciated how grounded that was too. Cause I was like, it'll probably be more high end. It'll be a lot more like exaggerated and everything. But I really appreciated that they really took that grounded approach in the middle portion of just her trying to like go through all these doctors, and none of them could give them the answer basically to what's going on. Mm-hmm. And I love that they use like the exorcism thing as like kind of like a last resort basically.
Yeah.
And that really made it like a nice, satisfying payoff to the whole film for me personally.
They set up different reasons as to how this demonic thing could have came in. One of the big ones, obviously, now when you watch it, it's just like, there it is. The mom finds a Ouija board, and the girl's like, yeah, I've been playing with that. And it's just like, great. Again, so many times in these movies, it's just like characters like, well, I'll say with this movie, at least it's a kid. Like a kid is probably just thinking it's for fun or something.
Yeah, I like that they subvert it kind of in a way, you know.
Yeah.
They don't make that like the big main focus. Like, oh, they give you like a logical or clear explanation of how this this like spirit came into their lives.
Yeah, and it's not like this stupidity of, oh, I've been noticing weird cabinets and things moving and doors closing. And my version of an answer is to bring out a Ouija board.
Oh, I love just like the subtle hit of like when the mom comes home and the lights are just kind of like flickering off.
Oh,
and then, like all of a sudden the lights just like come off in the house.
Yeah.
That was really terrifying. And I really felt like the dread and tension in that scene.
I like the introduction of kind of this actress kind of seeing this priest at one of the shoots and everything. I guess that's kind of like the first time she noticed this person. And this priest, I swear, he's my favorite character in the movie, is portrayed by Jason Miller. He's Damien Karras. And the performance, I don't know what it is. There's just like a certain aspect that Jason brings to this role that I don't know what it is. It just makes it more heartfelt, and it makes it more he really portrays like this kind of broken person very, very well. You are kind of seeing someone who is questioning their faith right now. You know, they've dedicated their life to becoming this priest and everything, when it's kind of hinted at in the movie that he could have had, you know, so much more than he already has now. But
I guess that also just like shows you more his devotion to like the church and everything.
Exactly. And the actor portrays that very well. There's just something about seeing him on screen, seeing the moments when he breaks down, seeing the moments where even he doesn't know the answers and he's kind of questioning what's even happening. And it's just amazing. Like this has to be like one of my favorite horror performances. He just does such a good job, and it's just such a wide range of emotions that he has to show. And in some of the scenes that he does very well, there's not dialogue, you know, he's conveying everything with a look or a glance, you know. Which subtlety
at its finest for sure,
which is really great.
One of my favorite sequences with him is this whole sequence. It's like a nightmare sequence, and it's just silence, and you see his mom like walk up, and out of nowhere this like monster thing just like flashes. I remember that like just freaked me out so much. And then the mom or grandma, they walk back down the stairs. And I think for me, that has to be one of the hardest hitting portrayals of death that I think I might have honestly seen in a film. Like it's horrifying, but it's also just really sad. You know, it's like he can't do anything about it. Yeah. And that's a really hard thing to like really process and even think about, you know?
Yeah. And it's someone going through such an extreme loss and everything. How do they still continue to help other people? And he's trying to find the reasons as to how this happened. How did this unfold this way? You know? Yeah. And it's so crazy to think that a time when this character is at their lowest, are they subjected to nightmares like that? Like even just seeing that on screen. I remember seeing that for the first time. And you see that face pop up, which you find out is like the demon, this Pazuzu demon or whatever it is, that the statue that they find. This face, it's so brief. It's like a blink and you'll miss it segment. But man, once you see that pop up and you see the mom leaving and everything, really sets the groundwork for later on when this demon tries to use those moments against this priest. Really makes you mad. And it makes you like, damn, this thing is really demonic and it's evil. You know?
Evil in like its purest form, I guess. At least I took it in this first watch.
And the filmmaking on display is just amazing. You're watching this emotional scene play out and this face is cut into it just very briefly. I love that there's no sound effect. There's no loud noise. You're really just like visually like thrown off. And
the
I love
silence
that.
is just so scary already.
I love that so much. I'm just like, that is just like, it really took a lot for them to realize, like, you know what, we don't really need anything else here. Like, we just show this face, and I guarantee a lot of people will at least be unnerved by it. Like, what the hell was that?
Less is definitely more. And I feel like this is kind of one of those perfect examples of that for me personally.
Yeah. No, I love that sequence too. After kind of this whole scene and everything, it's through the course of a couple scenes that you are shown Father Mann and his mom. And, you know, it's just very quickly, like, things just progress and just get worse and worse. Every time it cuts back, like, she's at home and he meets with someone, says things are getting worse. Next scene, she's already in like a hospice type situation. And I was like, what the heck? And then shortly after that, next scene, you find out she died. And I was just like, wait, what?
I know. I thought I had missed something. I was like, wait, what? Wait, what the heck?
Yeah.
But yeah, that definitely just kind of was a little jarring for me personally. And I do feel like it could have been a little bit more, I guess maybe a little longer, just because like it did kind of go by a little too quick for me personally. But I did really still like it though.
Yeah. I think that's one thing to be said with this movie is I feel like this is not edited in like a natural way. And that's kind of what I'm saying when it comes to the editing is like,
it is very polarizing for sure.
You expect scenes to kind of play out in like a natural way. Like we mentioned with the mother's death, like that was just like, for me, it was just so jarring. And I was just like, wait, what? Like,
I'm like, wait, what did I miss?
Yeah. And then like scenes just don't really play out in like a conventional type way.
Yeah. I guess maybe how I can maybe take it, even if I wasn't, maybe if I felt like there could have been a little bit longer, is I guess kind of see it as like death is such a fast thing that like it just comes unexpected a lot of the time. At least that's kind of how I kind of took that with why maybe they wanted to portray it a little bit more faster and quicker. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I at least saw it, you know, just because like when you experience loss like that, it's just like you don't have really time to process that.
Yeah. And then same thing with like the possession stuff with Reagan too. Like some of these scenes will happen really fast. Some happen longer than others. And I'm just like, and then it kind of invokes a lot of imagination when the scenes progressively get worse and you're not given the in-between spaces, yet you want to know what happened while the camera wasn't there.
I guess there's kind of like a mystery aspect to that also too. I guess there's a lot of, like you kind of said, like a lot of fill in the blanks for sure. Yeah. One thing that surprised me though with Reagan's character was that it's all really just kind of in like one location, aside from like obviously the scenes where she does the medical procedures. It's mostly just like in her bedroom. Yeah. You know, I was kind of surprised they didn't really like take it out like outside or anything like that, which I really appreciate. They kept that like part and aspect like really grounded.
Yeah. And it's really horrific, like what they have to go through to stop Reagan from like hurting herself, things like that, like the medications.
She's literally bedridden.
Yeah, literally like being tied to a bed. And I'm just like, that's horrific. Like, imagine seeing someone like a loved family member going through something like that and you are kind of helpless, you know? And I can't even imagine as a parent, you know, like that really is, that actress does such a great job of portraying that kind of, no, I'm stuck with this, you know?
Yeah.
The fact that this is my daughter, I can't leave. Like, this isn't just some situation of a possessed house and, the answer is to move. Like, this is, you know, my most prized thing in my life is my daughter. And I can't just up and leave this situation. Mm-hmm. Which I think a lot of great horror movies do a good job of explaining. That is, you really need to explain why your main characters can't, you know, up and leave and can't just
I really appreciate that. I like that they didn't do that. I think that definitely would have taken me out if they had made that choice.
Yeah. Wallied, you've seen possession movies and things. is there anything attributed to this movie that really kind of separates it from some of the other possession? Like, obviously, one that comes to mind is like Hereditary, things like that.
No,
I feel like this movie really kind of surprised me, especially with this being just like a younger girl and everything. Just the horrific side of possession and everything. Like I said, with her hurting herself, her not being able to, go to sleep, go to rest without medication, heavily medication. Like that one doctor's like, yeah, she's going to be out for like the next day. And it's just like, oh my God. But how do you compare this to like other possession movies? Is it something that does better than others? Or do you feel like, it could have been a little better in this movie?
I think this is probably my favorite of the possession I've seen, just because it like really showcases the progression of being possessed. You see, I mean, there's like a really disturbing scene where she's like stabbing herself in like, I don't know where it is, but she's stabbing herself with like a cross.
Yeah.
And it's just like that sequence. It's just like, oh God, like you just can feel like the just like disturbing like nature of this like demon.
Yeah.
And I love how like as it progresses, it's like they cover the beds, they try to cover the windows. You see her face like with cuts and everything. That to me, I feel like is where it separates it from other possession films. Because I feel like with other possession films, it's like, oh, the demon's already in there and we got to take it out somehow. We're reusing the power of Christ. And, I love with this film, it's like they use that power of Christ and everything as like a last resort. It's like the last thing before this demon ends up like taking her. Like there's no other choice to do that. So I think for me personally, I feel like this is like a really great portrayal of how to show possession in a film, because for me, it was just really terrifying, and I feel the performance of this daughter character, and you can see the mom's frustrations and everything like that, and it's like, you obviously just want to make sure she's safe and everything and that she's okay.
Yeah.
So it definitely, I feel like, showcased it on a lot more of like a sympathetic side, especially with like the mother character.
Through this and how progressive and worse it gets, you really are along the side of questioning, is she even still there, with how bad everything gets? And
I definitely questioned it for sure, especially near the end when, like obviously the priest ends up getting like the demon possessed when he gets possessed and everything. And you see her like in the corner. It's like, is that actually her?
Yeah.
I definitely questioned that for sure.
And what you slowly get to is all these other people and everything, like medical people, they can't explain it.
Because it's an unexplainable thing anyways.
And they're almost kind of left with, this is how she's just going to be. This, whether it's a split personality, whether it's this, like this is kind of your future for now, like this is how it's going to be. And I find it so fascinating that it's the priests are the ones who believe that, no, this young girl is still there. We have to get this thing out of her. Like, this isn't just something that
it's like a mental disorder or something like that, which I was really shocked by. I was like, especially when you see people in like the mental hospital. I guess that's like another form of kind of possession in their own ways, Before we get into the kind of final act and everything, one of the things I wanted to touch on that I really enjoy is the kind of, not parallels, but showing obviously Damien and the actress, kind of their paralleled situation of having a loved one who is basically deteriorating, going towards death and everything, and showing the one who has, the more fortunate upbringing, has all the money and the expenses to throw at this medical situation with her daughter, and her using all of that to really try to come to a resolution. And then it shows the parallel of a man who really doesn't have all that stuff. He doesn't have the money and things like that to, help his loved one in his life and everything. And I like that juxtaposition between the two, yet they both
he comes to her aid to really help her and save her daughter, you know? That's something that I didn't really fully understand when I first watched it, but definitely on rewatch. Because with them making her an actress and everything, I was like, that's kind of forgettable. But, well, not forgettable, but it felt kind of pointless.
Yeah,
and
they kind of set it up, and then they don't really do too much with it.
They don't really do too much with it.
Yeah.
But now seeing, I feel like what it was meant to show was that kind of parallel and juxtaposition between someone who has
between like a rich and
money,
poor type of situation.
Yeah,
that is really fascinating.
Doesn't. Yeah,
and especially with how they both show grief, you know, in different ways, or how they show being in like kind of like the lowest point in your life, you know.
Yeah.
That was a very interesting like dynamic between not even just like the daughter, but I guess between like the mother and the priest, you know, especially when they have like the first interaction, you know.
Yeah.
Because obviously the whole film is like you're following those two storylines, and then like kind of once they meet, you realize like how much they're both suffering in their own different ways.
Love the build up throughout the whole movie. There's just a build up of how do they fix this thing? How is this going to work? And then when obviously priest shows up and they're going to start this thing, I really was on the edge of my seat. And I don't say that a lot with horror movies, but more so with like thrillers and action movies. But for some reason with this movie, when they were getting ready to start the exorcism and everything, like I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, holy crap, this is like actually really like intense right now.
The suspense definitely kicked in for sure, especially when like the priest from the beginning, because we don't see him at all throughout the film, and then like he pops up again. I'm like, oh, okay, huh,
yeah,
all right. I guess that I was like, oh, I guess that was kind of a little pointless, but actually, never mind. That makes more sense now. It comes back full circle. It was
one of the most iconic shots ever in movies, and man, it's just great. Is the taxi pulling up. The priest gets out and it just shows the light coming from the window and everything. Yeah. He's silhouetted, man.
Speaking of which, that is like the poster of the movie.
It's a poster and it's just so great. It is just it's so thought provoking, and it's just like,
it gets a lot across. Yeah.
If I was a kid and I saw that poster, I'd be like, what's that? You know? And I love how when he goes into the house, it's just almost immediate. They're just starting. Like when, you know, is Damien here? They're walking up the stairs. Love the shots of them walking up the stairs, and they're just kind of like looking up, and you hear like this screaming and this demonic yelling and stuff. Like I was just like, oh my God. And
no time for tea.
And you see all these people like standing outside of the door. And you really, that's when it sets in the gravity of the scene is these people aren't going in, and these are the two people whose job it is. They have to go in. Like this is something that's really like, damn, that's actually terrifying, you know? Mm-hmm. And I love it in like ghosts and demonic stuff when they portray coldness, because I guess that's something that's always said if you're going to ever come across something demonic or something evil, the temperature starts to drop. You know?
Really?
Yeah. And that's usually a sign that you're not in a good place right now. This is a place you shouldn't be in, especially when you can feel it so drastically. And when they go into this room, there's so many great shots, but man, I love just the added detail of seeing them breathe and everything, seeing how their noses are red or their ears are red. I'm just like, did they actually make that room really cold? Because it looks great. Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah,
definitely probably a mix of makeup and probably a little bit cold, but not like to that extreme. Obviously, they show in the movie.
It's just amazing. And when they go into this room and everything, like, man, it's just, you see this girl and you're just like, how is that girl still there? Like, it's literally a demon. Like
she throws up green vomit or whatever. I was like, oh, gross.
Yeah. So many different scenes in this really just kind of, it's so funny. You see so many horror movies and stuff, but some of the scenes in this are still really effective. Like you said, with the green vomit, like when she's laying there, like vomiting.
Yeah. It's hard to watch, honestly. Yeah. I was like, oh, man.
Or obviously iconic, her floating up from the bed and everything is just amazing. And
and then the priest's reaction, where they're just as shocked as I am.
Yeah. No, that's really great. And obviously her head turning like 360 and everything.
God. Yeah.
That I'm like, how is she not dead? Like, but yeah.
Right? I know. Yeah.
Yeah, this whole final act is just amazing. Like I swear I was on the edge of my seat the whole time.
It's definitely my favorite part of the film for sure. This is easily like, it's like a fireworks show for me.
I was wondering like, how is this all going to play out? Like, and I really like how it takes time. It's not just an immediate fix. Even these guys are kind of out of their own element.
Yeah,
you know?
even like the most experienced priest, he still has like a struggle with that.
Exactly.
Which really was like, okay, I'm really loving this. Like, it feels like a nice challenge for both of the priests, you know?
And that's something that I like in movies when they set up the stakes really well of, you know what, here's this dire situation and here's our most experienced person. We're going to throw them at each other and we're going to still show that this person doesn't know everything. This person doesn't have the right way to fix this. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed that. And then the acting in this is just phenomenal. Like,
it's incredible.
Like I said, the girl, she's doing such a great job.
The two priests are
amazing.
Yeah, they're killing it.
Yeah, it's so good. And yeah, it plays out for a bit, and then they kind of come to this pause, which I really wasn't expecting. When she finally gets put to rest,
they're like, time out.
Yeah, they're like, well, let's go rest up a bit.
It's like a boxing match.
Yeah, it really is. And I like the scene of them. It's just so brief, but man, it's effective. It's just them sitting on the stairs, and they're both just like, what did we just see? And nothing's really said in that moment. And I really like that. I like how they're just like sitting there. It's quiet. And after everything they went through, they need that moment to just kind of process, like, what am I doing? What is happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that. And I was also very surprised with that because I was like, oh, okay, this might be the end of the film. But then they were like, no, actually, we're going to just take a time out. We're going to have her sleep. And then we're going to just try to like exercise her again, basically.
Mm-hmm. One of the priests goes back into the room, Damien. And this is the moment where the emotions come into play. Reagan and the demonic force is picking at those emotions. It's picking at the things that Damien has in his life, you know.
It's like new card. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's playing a different card this time, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, you know what? Let's start bringing up his mom, you know, and she mimics her voice and everything. The just quick image of him seeing his mom in bed, like, I was just like, God. Because he looks at Reagan, and then it quickly just changes to his mom sitting in bed alone. And I was just like, man, that's rough.
That hit a little too close.
Yeah, I was like, that was really rough. And when she starts doing the voices and everything, you know, I wasn't expecting it to get to him too much. But when he has that moment of lashing out and he totally yells and the priest has to send him out, and it's just like, no, this is more than just saving this girl. For this guy, he's still going through what he's going through.
The process, yeah.
Yeah. And that's just such a nice added level to it that, again, like, I feel like most horror movies now, they probably wouldn't have in their movie, you know?
But if everybody's grief process, it's just, sometimes it's so short, but other times it's like, it could take a long time, you know, it could sometimes take maybe 5 or even 10 years, you know, like that was something that I really like shocked me with it. And it was like a whole other layer to the character. I just was like not expecting at all.
Yeah, no, it was really amazing. And then we get to the final part, which really just blew my mind. I wasn't expecting it.
Same, not at all.
He walks back in. The older priest is dead, and she's just sitting there on the bed, like staring at his body. And I was just like, oh my God.
I'm like, not even the experienced priest could like take her down. I'm like, dang.
What's going to happen? And I really was just like, I had no idea how this was going to play out after hearing about this movie for so long.
Same.
Hearing about everything, and I was just like, what's going to happen, you know?
Yeah. It was still like just pulling up different cards up its sleeve, and I just was like, okay, wow, all right. You're really just still taking me by surprise, even like this late into the movie.
And Damien just totally loses it, and he just grabs her and pins her down and everything,
like
and
punches her. Like
I was just like, oh my god,
yeah, okay, bro.
Pulling out all the stops. And then he does something, this selfless act that I just really didn't see coming. He basically gets the demon to enter his body to leave Reagan alone. And the demon does so. And you see this moment where he is losing himself, like Damien's no longer there. And now this demonic force is in this priest.
That was one subtle progression that I think I kind of picked up on a little bit, especially in like the middle and end portion, was that he definitely, I felt like, was going down a little bit of like a downward spiral after that death of his mother. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this possession is kind of like his final, like, this is it. Like he's not the person that he used to be.
Mm-hmm. And he has this brief moment where he grasps onto reality for just whatever brief moment it is. And he sees a solution. And he throws himself out of the window to not only kill himself, but also whatever this demon is inside of him. And it's done, I really was not expecting that. I remember when I watched that play out for the first time, I was just like, what the heck?
Yeah. I was
and
like,
he falls down these stairs and he's gone, but you do get this brief moment with one of the other priests comes along and basically gives him his last confession and everything, and you see his hand moving, and I'm assuming it's to show that the demonic demon didn't fully take him over. Okay. At the end, he still had that moment of, you know what, I'm still here,
Okay.
Which does give a little bit of a better feeling. Again, obviously it's still bittersweet. Didn't want to see this guy die, but it's nice to know that at the end of it, he was still there,
Okay. Yeah, that was definitely one thing I was like a little unsure of. I was like, wait, is it still there? When his hand was moving, but then like he kind of like moves out his hand and like all his fingers are there. I was like, okay, I think he's dead. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just that
really
whole
tragic death. Like there was something just so horrifying about that, him falling off on the steps and everything like that.
No, really. And then we're brought to this kind of epilogue. You see Reagan and the mom leaving the house and everything. And the priest comes to...
Not because it's possessed.
The priest comes to say goodbye and everything. And seeing Reagan after everything, it was so strange, and it was just like, whoa,
she's acting normal. She doesn't have all these scars on her face and everything like that.
And then the mom's like, oh, she doesn't remember anything. And then you're kind of left with this like little hint of,
I think a part of me does remember. I think she does,
because she sees this priest. More importantly, she sees that collar and everything, and she has like this moment of just like, you see something. And then she goes in for a hug and everything, and it's just like, okay, I think she knows
part
what
of
happened.
Her knew a little bit, even if it's like very blurry and everything. Because like, I guess I kind of take that as like it's like a PTSD type of thing of like, like you have little fragments of it, but not like the full kind of picture of everything that you went through.
Yeah. And I love the ending shot is him going back to the stairs and everything where Damien fell, and
felt kind of eerie. Yeah, it was definitely a little eerie for sure.
And the way you see like the broken window and then the downward shot of the stairs and everything, I was just like, wow, that's actually really interesting. And then the movie ends.
It's surprisingly kind of a little ambiguous.
Really crazy. Again, a lot of great things with this movie. I love the acting in it is just superb, top notch. Cinematography is great. The music and everything. I mean, just even hearing the piano theme, I feel like I've heard so many other musical themes and everything that probably take inspiration from this piano theme,
Probably. I guess I wouldn't be too surprised there.
Yeah, it really is just amazing. And the story is just so great. Like, I feel like it really did the best job of blending drama, horror all into one. I feel like you get really great aspects of both. You know?
Yeah, that was something that just really took me by surprise with this. Definitely.
Yeah. And there's a lot of good heart there. Like, again, the whole story with the priest and everything, and obviously his self-sacrifice at the end.
Yeah.
Even both the priests, you know, they both go into this, you know, really putting their lives on the line.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. I definitely wish there was a little bit more time with that other priest though, but I do appreciate that they kind of used him as like a last resort type of thing.
Yeah, no, it was really great. Any kind of criticisms I have with the movie, obviously there's some ADR work that isn't the best, but I mean, it's give or take. It never really pulled me out of it. Also, the editing can be strange, you know, like.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of one of my complaints with it, though I do kind of appreciate kind of the more slow pace of the film. There's just specific scenes, especially like in the beginning and middle portion, that do feel kind of jarring, especially when you're following like two different storylines, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's very unconventional to say the least. So yeah, if you're watching this, definitely try to stick with it. It was better for me on a rewatch. The first time I did see it, I was a little bit all over the place. But I was able to enjoy it a lot more second time around.
Yeah, for sure. Nice.
I'll say with the pace of this movie, like this movie's over 2 hours and it goes by pretty quickly. I was
really shocked by that, honestly. Yeah. And especially because it takes so much of its time too. I was like, oh, some things might drag, but it surprisingly doesn't really drag all that much.
Yeah, it really doesn't. There's a lot of great things in horror with this movie. Like I said, with that whole dream sequence and that face popping up really freaked me out.
God.
Seeing the slow progression, well, not slow progression, but the progression of this girl, you know, just slowly, like things get worse and worse and worse. It's just amazing. I love the whole medical efforts behind everything. Kind of gives a realness to it.
Which really shocked me, and I really love that the film showcased that.
Yeah, it really helps.
Because I definitely don't think a lot of other possession films, at least the couple I've seen, they've never showcased that. So I really appreciated that they did that with this movie.
Overall, overall, I just really loved it. Really enjoyed it so much. And again, I was seeing this after so many years after it came out, after hearing so many things, and I was just like, there's no way this is going to live up to what everyone says about it.
Right.
And while often, like, I don't think it's meant to, it's still really, really good. Nice. So I think score-wise, I'm at like a 9.5 out of 10.
Wow. Yeah. That's really sick, man. Nice. Yeah, for a first-time watch for me, I really loved and enjoyed this. This really took me by surprise. Kind of the same thing as you. This is a film I heard so much about for a long, long time. And man, I can't believe it's taken me so long to see it too, honestly. But yeah, I really loved a lot of the horror of this film. The drama of the film was really great. All of the acting is just pretty top-notch. Yeah, I would just say a couple of my complaints just being just some of the jarring editing throughout. Maybe on a rewatch, I probably won't have too much of an issue with that. But I will say for just this first watch, it did take me out of it a little bit. And then just kind of like that older priest. As much as I do love it in the second half, I do kind of wish maybe there was a couple more things with him, maybe a couple more scenes with him, whether it's just like in the background or just maybe on the more focused primary type of thing.
Yeah.
And then I guess I just will say personally, while there are some good music choices, I do wish there was maybe a more memorable theme for like the demon, you know, or maybe showcasing a more like atmospheric score to the film, because I'm a big sucker for that in a lot of horror films. So that was definitely something I maybe wish the film maybe utilized a lot more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really loved this. There was a lot of really great scares in this film. Considering it's 2 hours too, I was like really shocked how invested I was in everything that was going on. I'll definitely check this out and watch this again for sure, and definitely refer this to other people. But yeah, for me, score-wise, I would probably say I'm going to say an 8.5 out of 10 for me personally.
Nice.
Yeah, I really loved this and connected with this a lot more than I thought I would.
And you really see the groundwork for a lot of different horror movies. Like, you can tell where they got their inspiration from with this movie, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how much this pioneered too also, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to see like the ground zero of like possession movies, I guess you could say.
No, really though. I can't even imagine like the time when this came out probably just freaked out a lot of people.
Yeah, one thing I was kind of hearing after I watched it was that a lot of people apparently had like fainted during like screenings of this movie.
God.
Apparently, I don't know how true that is, obviously, but yeah, that's kind of like just like insane how much of an impact this had on a lot of people around that time.
Yeah, I really would be something like to. There's those few movies where it's like I can get a lot of it watching it now, but there are those few movies where I'm like, if I would want to go back in time and experience it with all the other people when it was coming out, just to see like what that was like, this would be one of them. Just because I just hear so much that about like, oh yeah, parents really were like, you're never watching this movie, kids. Like it was just something that was just so like. Nope, we're not doing that at all, you know?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, which is very interesting. And obviously it's early 70s, which is just crazy.
So I got to ask, have you seen any of the sequels or reboots or anything like that for this?
I have not. I've been wanting, ever since I've seen this one, I've been wanting to check them out. I hear the third one actually isn't too bad. That's what I've heard
too. Yeah.
I heard the second one you can just skip. And then I heard the recent one that came out. I forget what it was called.
The Exorcist Believer.
Yeah, I heard that
David Gordon Green.
I heard that one wasn't terrible, is what I heard.
I heard it was like the Avengers of Exorcist films. That's like the
that's
one
a
thing.
wild statement.
Yeah, that's one thing I heard from like one of the reviewers.
That does not make me want to watch it.
That's what someone said. I was like, oh, okay. And then I guess he was going to originally make it into like a trilogy, kind of like what he did with like his Halloween. But I guess he ended up like not wanting to make a second one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I might check him out. Definitely. I feel like I should. I feel like I should see where this kind of evolved into. And that's the thing, again, with horror is just like the sequels, you know?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, well, because even watching this film, I'm like, how do you do a sequel to The Exorcist? Do you just like double the spirits?
Yeah.
Or, like, I don't know. That's just, but yeah.
All right. What do you got next for us, Wallied?
Yeah, so I was going through a handful of different recommendations, but I finally came to one, and I realized actually it's the 50th anniversary of this film, and I realize we've kind of talked a little bit about this filmmaker on and off, like during movie news and things like that. And it's one I haven't seen, but I've heard so many great things about. And I'm really kind of just excited to kind of talk about it because it's one that's been on the back burner for me for a while. So I was thinking we could do Jaws next episode.
Wow.
From 1975. I know it's considered to be like the first summer blockbuster and everything. And I've heard it's like one of the best like uses of like horror. I know it is shocking. I have not seen this film, but
Wow.
I know. I have not seen it. And it's crazy because Steven Spielberg was like one of the first filmmakers I got into as like a kid and in middle school. And for some reason, I just like never saw this one like growing up or anything like that. So I'm really just like excited to kind of see this film finally for the first time. Wow.
This is a film that I've seen so many times. No matter what it is, this is one of those movies where, again, if it's on, if I'm like at a house visiting a friend's house and they have it on the TV, they're like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be the most social person because for some reason my mind is going to be stuck to this movie.
Okay.
This is just one of those movies for me that is just like one of the pinnacles of like the perfect summer blockbuster movie, and also horror movies too. There's great horror elements. And yeah, just amazing humor too. There's so many funny things that I quote in this movie. But yeah, this is exciting. I really, really like this movie a lot.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm very excited to see it. I'm very, because again, I've seen like kind of like this recommendation. I've seen clips from it, but I've just never got around to like ever watching it.
Nice.
And I thought it would be like a perfect recommendation since obviously it's like the 50th anniversary and everything. And I've wanted to talk about Steven Spielberg for a while on the podcast too. And I thought, well, let's do this one. Let's do one I haven't really seen or I have too much bias with.
Nice.
You know, so
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if you guys don't want to be spoiled for Jaws, if you haven't seen it like I have, check it out before the next episode, guys.
Nice. All right. That is it for us. Thank you guys so much for joining us yet again. We're going to be nearing the end of our horror movie season here pretty soon. And we'll have no Thanksgiving period because I don't think there's many Thanksgiving movies.
Thanksgiving? Just kidding.
And then we'll get into hopefully Christmas a little bit more this year. I know last year we were busy and stuff, but I've definitely been thinking about a lot of Christmas movies that I want to talk about.
Same. There's definitely a bunch I have like planned that I definitely would love to get into like a discussion with.
Perfect. Awesome. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all for sticking with us. Happy 50th episode. Good day and good night, mates.
We'll see you on the next one.